Hello, folks. It's the end of the week. Options expiration today. Triple witching. Some people call it quadruple witching, but there is no quad anymore. It's now triple witching. Um, I didn't have that ready to explain why. I just now thought of it, but maybe Monday I'll explain why that is. But at any rate, today was options expiration. So will the market rally next week? Well, my magic 8 ball tells me it can't predict right now. Market is just kind of going sideways, just like it's been for most of the week. So we'll jump into it. I'm going to try to make this less than 30 minutes today. Let's see if I can do that. We'll find out. All right. So as always, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You need to do your own due diligence and make your own investment decisions. Nothing that I say suggests to buy or sell anything. So let's go look at the home page, and you can see the market bias didn't do much at all today. Just kind of went sideways, actually. If we take a look at that, there's a couple of bears and one bull, so not too much. And this, as I mentioned earlier this week, it's going to take some time for this to move any further, either up or down, frankly. There's not too many bear triggers left in here. So, but to get the bull ones, it's going to need to move quite a bit to the upside. So we might just be treading water here for a little while. You can see up here in the day over day, week over week, we've got one extra red one today. Went from a yellow to a red. That's the overall market. So it ticked down just slightly. So not too exciting there, not too much to talk about there. I do want to show at the bottom of this, I have updated the a lot of the weekly things I've updated today. You can see right there, the dates are on there, 21st. But on this one, I have every week, I put the 20 year-to-date gainers for a large cap and year-to-date losers. So let's just take a look and see if there's anything interesting here. Number 2 is SMCI. Uber's up there, GE, Amgen, Intel. Look at that, Intel at 24. It's pretty much where it's been hanging out. The technical ranking over here on the right kind of gives you a sense for what it's been doing the last 6 months, roughly. So SMCI still has got a lot of catch up to do. Palantir is on the list. And what else? AT&T. On the downside, Trade Desk is still at the top. Tesla's number 3. I'm going to talk about Tesla here in a minute. So Tesla number 3 on the year-to-date losers. Marvell is on there. Number 4, Datadog. First Solar, Arista Networks. These were all tech names. United Airlines and Delta are both on the list, and Target, which we talked about earlier this week. Target brings up in the number 20 position. And look at the technical ranking, 1.8. That's really, really low. On the small and mid caps, see if there's anything interesting over here. HIMS, of course, is in the top 10. Let's see if there's anything else. Triumph was acquired. SolarWinds was acquired. So those are both on here. Innovax, I think, was an acquired company also. SolarEdge and Celsius. Look at that. Celsius is in the number 20 position for small and mid caps. The losers this week, let's just see if there's anything interesting. Elf, someone asked me to look at that earlier this week, which I did. Abercrombie going down. Tandem Diabetes. What else? Kohl's, a retail stock. So that's it. So you can always come here and look at this only gets updated on Friday, so you can always come here to see what those top 10 year-to-dates are. In the charts page, I do want to look at the VIX today because the market kind of went sideways. The VIX is still below 20. So you can see it's still moving lower lows and lower highs. It actually opened pretty much, the high is almost where yesterday's high was, but the low is lower than yesterday. So it's down here in the neutral zone, still continuing to go down. So maybe that's good news. Maybe we will get a rally still perhaps next week. once all this options expiration and CPI and the Fed meeting and all of that's behind us, we'll see if the market wants to start to move higher. Let's go back to the homepage for a second and look at the different charts. S&P tonight. Look at that. Trying to make a comeback. Actually went down today. So even though it had a nice candle and the end of the day, it went higher. I wouldn't pay much attention to the volume because that's options expiration volume. So that typically happens on options expiration Friday. That's just lots of options expiring. So had a nice rally at the end of the day today. Maybe that'll carry forward next week. Look at the NASDAQ 100. It basically opened at the low and just closed at the high. So it went all the way up and just kept on going. And momentum is starting to move higher as well. So that looks pretty good. How about Bitcoin? I haven't looked at Bitcoin today. Bitcoin didn't do much of anything. So it's not following the NASDAQ today. It sold off yesterday, and right now it's sitting right down at the lows from yesterday. So it trades 24/7, so this will change as we move along, but not too impressive on Bitcoin. All right, let's see. What else? What did I get updated today? On the homepage, the secular bull market was updated. You can look at that real quick. You see it's still, the momentum's still moving down. In fact, it's crossing over. The MACD is crossing over, just about ready to cross over. And the market is moving down. This is a monthly chart, so keep that in mind. So on the month, we are much lower for the month. Still blue candle though, so still neutral. But clearly looks like it's heading lower and may continue to head lower, or at a minimum will head sideways. But I think it probably will go lower. We might get a rally before that happens. We shall see, but we should continue to check this because this will tell us whether we're heading into a 12-year secular bear market or not when all of these things cross. But they're not close to it yet. And this is a monthly chart, so that will take some time for that to happen. Speaking of monthly charts, let's look at the John Carter chart because that's updated as well. And you can see that it's still dark blue. One thing that I am adding in here now is I put last week's number. So you see last week it was 89.02 for today, and today it's 89.53. So it actually moved up slightly from last week. So that's good news, I guess, but still momentum is heading lower, just like it did back here in 22. And you can see these are the major indexes. Gold continues to go higher. These are monthly charts as well, so it has not completed until next week on the 28th. Bitcoin going lower, but it's in second place. So this is based on the relative strength for each of these. And last place is the Russell 2000. All right. Also on the charts page over here under business cycles and sectors, each week I update these charts as well. These are the aggressive sectors and the defensive sectors. You can see the aggressive are, even though they're ticking up slightly, they're continuing to head lower, while the defensive are just going sideways or slightly higher. So that shows you rotation right there. All right, what else? What other updates did I make today for this week? I think that's pretty much all of them. Let's go look at the dashboard. Where is the dashboard? Right here. So you can see basically flat. We did come back up and close a little bit higher, went down, came up, just basically went flat for the day on all of the indexes. The VIX, as you can see, went down slightly. Bonds, that's one thing I want to look at. Somebody asked me about bonds, but TLT, so that's a 20-year treasury, still moving lower. The 10-year, just hanging right out at that 4.25% that I mentioned for quite a while ago. I mentioned that, so that's just going sideways. Gold went lower in the beginning, came back slightly, but ended the day lower. Silver, the same thing. Oil, kind of flat line for today. And then crypto, of course, Bitcoin we looked at already is pretty much flat for the day. Didn't really do anything in Bitcoin. If we look down here at the sectors for the day, all of the aggressive sectors are at the top. So that's good news. And you can see there's communication services ended at the high, consumer discretionary ended at the high, and technology ended at the high. So that may bode well for next week, even though there were a lot more decliners. So communication services had more advancers, but look at discretionary, more decliners than advancers. Look at staples, more decliners. Technology down here, more decliners than advancers. Even though they were in the top sectors, they still had more decliners than they did advancers. So that's not a good sign. And here's the earnings for the past weeks. Micron reported yesterday, and let's take a look at the chart. Looks like they missed. So Micron, true to form, over and over again, comes up back here in October, made it above the 200, pull back, a little bit above the 200, pull back, hit the 200, pull back, hit the 200, pull back, hit the 200, pull back, and hit the 200 this week, and reported and pull back. So over and over and over again. If you were trading this, you could make a lot of money just buying down here and selling or shorting, selling and shorting when it goes up here. So this is just a back and forth stock, up and down. So that was one that reported this week. Dow industry groups, see if there's anything interesting. Renewable energy, we'll take a look at that. What else? Trucking, tourism, media, marine transport, internet. Let's look at those two, internet and renewable energies. Back over here on the charts page, renewable energy is right here. And these are the stocks. So these are the ones that did well for today. First Solar is up there, up 2.25% on the day. EVgo, that's a charging station company, I believe. Don't hold me to that. I'm not 100% sure on that. So these are the ones that did well today. If we look at for the 1 week period, there's the week. EVgo did well for the whole week. GE, spin off from GE, up 6.5%. Solar Edge, up 5.65. So those are all of the renewables. And the other one was internet. Look at the internet stocks right here. Communication services. So for today, Trivago, Reddit up 6.4%. Pinterest up 3%. This is just for the day, by the way. Meta up 1.75%. We look at these for the week. Trivago again for the week, up 31% on the week. Huge run. They must have reported this week too. Huge run for Trivago. What else? Anything interesting in here? Interactive Corp up 8%. Snap up 8%. That's Netflix up 4.6. So those are the ones that looked pretty good this week. I think that's pretty much covers it. Over here on my top 10 combined list, you can see WGS trying to make some headway. HIMS is up here. All of these, notice that they're at the bottom, but they're trying to make a comeback. So they ended near the high of their day, most of these in the top 10. Here's ASTS. Someone asked about that earlier this week. So it's hit support, like I mentioned. It's trying to make a comeback. We look at the bottom of the list, see if there's anything interesting in here. Not really. Go to the next level down. Rubric, still hanging in there though. Had a nice run up, just sort of treading water. So that's it. Nothing too interesting over there in the top 10 lists. All right. So let's go take a look at this. I'm going to do a daily scan, and I'm going to, because today is Friday, I'm going to make it a weekly scan. So let's first take a look at the 8 crossing the 21 weekly. when I'm looking at dailies, I like to see the 5 and the 21. On the weekly, I like to look at the 8 and the 21. So first, let's look at the 8 crossing the 21. And we'll run the scan. We've got 3. Look at that, Celsius. Mentioned Celsius before. It's in the top 20 for the small and mid caps. It has huge sell-off back here. They had earnings right here on the 20th, last month on the 20th. And on the weekly chart, it's now right at resistance and looking like it's going to make a run. It's got a 3-day squeeze and had a 3-day squeeze back here. So kind of a continuation of the squeeze, and momentum is moving higher. So this one might actually be ready to run much higher. It's near the top of its daily range, so might be worthwhile, and almost at pretty much at the resistance level. So probably would make sense to wait for this for a pullback, maybe back to the 21. But on a weekly basis, it looks like it's ready to go. Dollar General, here's on a weekly, same thing. It's got a curved bottom down here. They just had earnings on the 13th last week. So it's starting to move up, although ADX doesn't look that great right yet. But momentum is starting to move higher. And it also has a 1, 2, 5-day squeeze. So it might be firing to the upside. It's got a little bit of room to run over here. So that's one to keep an eye on. General Motors, also on the weekly bullish side. The momentum has not stopped going down on GM yet. That may turn up next week since the price is moving up and momentum up here is starting to move higher as well. ADX is still pretty low though. You can see on the daily, huge squeeze over here on the daily. So this one might actually be ready to move higher as well. We'll see what happens. All right, one more scan, this time on the opposite side. Let's look at the downside of the 8 and 21. So the 21 crossing the 8 on a weekly basis. A few more on here, Citigroup. So you can see right here that the 8 is just getting ready to cross the 21. Momentum's moving down. But on a short-term basis, it looks like it's coming right back to the mean. It went to the extreme down here, so reverting to the mean. So if you're looking for something to short, I wouldn't necessarily be shorting this one yet. This one might get rejected right here at the 21. We'll see. Chewy is on here, so the weekly is what primarily we're looking at. So we can see that it's been coming down for quite a few weeks in a row. And momentum is starting to move lower. And again, it's right at the mean on the daily chart. So I'm just going to buzz through these real quick. Here's CrowdStrike. Looks like it's recovering. Hit the 50-week moving average, which is the same as the 200-day. And it's starting to bounce back higher. So although on the daily, it looks like it's getting rejected at its 50-day and right around its 21. So this one is a little dicey. Remember, these are short. This is a short scan. So Palo Alto on the daily looks like it's heading lower, and certainly on the weekly, it's got a 6-7 day squeeze down here, and momentum's heading lower as well. So if this one breaks through the 50-day moving average, then that will not look good. Procter & Gamble sitting right down here on the 50 on the weekly chart, and momentum starting to accelerate to the downside. The daily actually doesn't look too good over here on P&G. Roku, it's bouncing back on a weekly, even though it made the scan because the 8's below the 21. But on the daily, it's bouncing back as well. So this one might not be ready to continue lower. We've got 3 sector symbols on here. So here's the weekly on communication services. Just showed you the internet group, which is coming back. Here's the daily over here. Looks like it's trying to make a recovery. And then consumer staples, interesting like that the aggressive sector and the defensive sector are both on this list today. But this one actually looks much worse than communication services on a weekly basis. It's definitely rolling over, and the daily is rolling over as well. And then real estate services, this one's certainly rolling over. It's got lower highs right now. So it's starting to move lower, and even on the daily as well, it's moving lower. So one other quick thing before I show you something here in a minute is the other thing that I updated was on the charts, no, on the homepage, I covered the new Dow theory before. So for those that do not have a subscription, you can always come here. This was updated today. Notice that the Dow has made a nice move higher, but transportation has not. Transportation is just going sideways. So that may still be indicating more downside to come, which is what I've been saying. Even though we might get a rally, short-term rally, this is still indicating, even that, and it had a nice, both of them had a nice candle today. So they recovered and started to move higher. But a little concerning. If we look at the new Dow theory, NASDAQ versus, this is equal weighted NASDAQ versus equal weighted S&P. So again, they're curving over, even though they had a nice rally today. So they're not showing me anything convincing. This is the really important one, I think. NASDAQ 100 with the semiconductors. And interestingly, on this one, semiconductors now look like they're outperforming the NASDAQ. So if you kind of draw an arrow going up on this one here would actually be steeper. So the semiconductors actually might be leading us into a short-term rally. And then finally, this one doesn't, these kind of look the same. This is communication services and the internet group side by side. So they kind of look similar. All right, the last thing I want to do is I've talked about the idea of watching for the price to close above the 21, and along with other things as well. So you want to be sure that the stock or the index is moving higher. But I talked about the buy point, potential buy point is when it closes above the 21. Now that could be a short-term move. And what I'm starting to do with that is use that as a trigger to sell puts, options. That is a bullish move, selling a put for a short term. And let me show you what I mean. And somebody asked me, that sounds very risky. Can you show me what you're talking about? So I'll show you the ones that I actually did last week and one that I did this week. So this is, make this a little bit bigger. So this is one that these first three are all closed. This is last Friday. This is actually AMD is Monday. So I want to do these on a Friday or a Monday. So when I run my scan, my daily scan, which I didn't run today, but run my daily scan of the 5 crossing the 21, if I see that on a Friday or a Monday, then I will sell the put 5 days ahead. So in this case, this was on Monday, and I sold it for Friday. So the expiration was Friday. So that's only 4 days. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So it closed above. And of course, I run this before the end of the day so I can see around 3:30 which ones are going to hit. So I sell the put as long as it stays above my strike price. In this case, it was $98. Here's the $98 level. As long as it stays above that by the next Friday, in this case, one within the week. Today was the expiration. It was definitely above the strike price. So this expired worthless, and it's 100% gain. I don't have to do anything. It will expire worthless, and I just keep all the premium. Now, these won't have huge numbers associated with them unless you buy lots of contracts. So you got to be really confident to do something like that. But you can do it with smaller numbers, still get 100%. If you make 100% over and over again, your portfolio will go higher, and you can do this with a very small portfolio as well. So there's AMD. That was one of them. The next one that I did last week was NVIDIA. In this case, I did it on a Friday. It was on the 14th. Again, sold the 115 put with an expiration of today, the 21st. And you can see this one got a little dicey. So there's where it closed above the 21 right there. It actually pulled back and then went higher. Actually went below the 115 strike price at one point, even though it closed just a little above it. But the next 3 days, it closed higher than that. So since it did close higher by today, then it expires worthless and it's 100% gain. Now, the comment was, well, what happens if it goes below the strike price? Does that mean you lose 100%? No, what that means is I will be put the stock, so I will own NVIDIA at whatever the price was below 115. However, I've made the premium. I've still made the premium. So let's say for simplicity, the premium was $1. So if it closes below 115, I will own that stock for whatever the price. Let's say the price was 114.50 minus the $1 premium that I've already made. So I will own it for 113.50. So I basically will own this stock at a discount. And you see it was at 120 or 121 when I put this trade on. So I would end up owning it at a discount. So that's the worst that would happen, is I would own the stock. And then of course I could just sell the stock when it starts to move up. But in this case, it didn't. In this case, it went a little below here and it ended the week above the strike price. So these are short-term, 1 week, roughly 1 week trades. All right, the third one that I did was a sector. This was utilities. You can see that it triggered right here on the 14th. That was on a Friday. It hit the scan. I sold the $77. So the strike price was 77. I like to do it below whatever that candle is. I sell the strike for below that because I'm assuming it's going to keep going up. So I sold it for the next Friday, which was today, 77. You can see today it ended at 78.75. So it expired worthless, was a 100% gain. So all three of these were 100% gains by the end of the week. And finally, one that I did today on Tesla. Now, in this case, it did not hit my 5 crossing the 21 scan because it's still a little ways away from the 21. However, I was watching Tesla today and I really liked the action. It looked like it was bottoming. There's like a double bottom right there. It had a great candle, ended near the highs, and big, huge volume today. So I jumped into this one, the same idea. Trigger today, 321. The expiration is a week from now, so next Friday. And the strike price is 230. So right now we're at 248. It's currently in less than a day because I did this around lunchtime, 11 o'clock this morning. It's up 28% so far today. So as long as it stays above 230, it will be a 100% gain. If it drops below 230, then I will own it for the premium on this was $3.50. So I will own it for $226.50. If it ends the week below 230, I will own Tesla for $226.50, which is just about where the bottom is down here. And I'm okay with that. So you don't take 100% loss when it goes below the strike price. You just simply own the stock at a discount. So that's the current one. We'll see what happens next week and see if it succeeds. We'll see. I mean, I can sell it during the week if it starts to move down. I can sell it. A lot of times I like to sell it when it hits 70%. 70% gain. I'll just sell it there, make the 70%, unless it is clearly moving much higher, and then I'll let it ride and take the whole 100%. So that's the idea. When I do the daily scan on Monday, I will do a 521 cross on Monday, and there might be some opportunities there. I didn't do it today, but we'll see Monday what happens. All right, that's it. I think I am at 30 minutes. So we're going to say goodbye for tonight. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe so we can continue to do this. Give me any comments that you have. I had some comments about, it looked like about half and half between a short video and a long video, but I'm going to try to keep them within 30 minutes if I can. Thanks, everyone, and I will talk to you next week. Have a great weekend. Take care.